this is my habit tracker application live in Google Play Store, and I can see the screenshots. Everything looks amazing. I built and signed it locally for free with Android Studio. Then I submitted the bundle, screenshots, policy forms, testing, and production release through Google Play Console. In this video, I'll show you every step, including the signing keys nobody explains and the 12 tester rule that can delay a new account by 2 weeks. Let's publish yours. Quick note, Codemagic is kindly sponsoring this video. Later, I'll show you Patch, their new open source over-the-air update platform for React Native. Okay, so before we dive in, you're gonna need a Google developer account. Hopefully you already have one, but if you don't have one, just go to Google Play Console, create an account. It costs $25, one-time payment, plus you need to do an identity verification. I would say it usually takes like a day. New personal accounts might also need to verify a physical Android phone, by the way. Second, you're gonna need Android Studio. It's free. Just Google it, download it, and install it. It's available for Mac and Windows. Of course, you also need an application. So I actually built this application in this channel using Cloud Fable 5. I'm gonna link the video in the description in case you want to learn how I built it. I used React Native and Expo, but this will also work for a native Android application with Jetpack Compose, Android Views, whatever. We're gonna be using Android Studio to create the actual release bundle, aka the actual build that we're going to upload to the Play Store. One more thing, if production is locked in your dashboard, don't panic. We'll cover the 12 tester requirement before we submit. Okay, so let me show you the application that I'm building. Like I said, this is a React Native and Expo project. The application is actually called Codemagic, and it's just a basic habit tracker. This is a simple application that allows you to track your habits. You can see the history. It uses an SQLite database with Expo. Everything is saved locally. We don't require authentication. We don't have payments, nothing fancy. Everything lives locally. We have a couple settings here. You can delete the data, and that's it. Pretty much super simple app. Okay, so let's get the app ready to be released. First of all, we need to check the identity of the application, like the name, the version, and stuff like that. So in a React Native application, you do that in the file that you can find here. There is a section for iOS, and there is also a section for Android in this file. Now, if you don't see the Android version in your Expo project, if you are using Expo, you can just open the terminal by using the shortcut Command J and run the following command: npx expo rebuild platform Android, and hit enter. This command basically just creates the native Android project. It's basically the native, Android project that we can actually open in Android Studio to build the app and actually release it. If this is the first time that you do it, the Android section in the app.json will be populated, and it's gonna look something like this. All right, so here in my package.json, the first thing that I want to check about my application is the name. So the name of my app is gonna be Codemagic. I recommend that your name is short and keep it simple, like just Codemagic. And keep in mind that if you use lowercase, it's gonna be shown with lowercase. If you use multiple words, it's gonna be displayed in the home screen like that. So just keep the name simple. Then we get to the package. So the package must be unique, and every future update needs to keep it, okay? So this is not going to change once you release your application. So just make sure that you have a branded package name that makes sense for you. This is not customer facing. It's just for you and your team to identify this, but I recommend that you just use your domain like I'm doing it here with the name of your project. Now next, we need to check the actual version of our application. So the package.json has a field called version. This is the actual version of your app. At the moment that I'm recording this video, it's 1.1.1. For you, it's 1.0.0, right? Each time, of course, that you create a new release or a new update, you will increase the version number. And the version code here maybe it's 1 for you. Right now for me it's 7. This version code must increase with every upload. You can of course extend this depending on the complexity of your project, but this is basically all you need. Something important to keep in mind: if you change something in the app.json, if you're using Expo and React Native, you need to pre-build your application again. So this means I'm gonna regenerate my Android folder. So let's run the command npx expo pre-build Android, passing the clean flag. Okay, so once you run this command, the Android folder will be regenerated. Now this is something actually important to mention because this Android folder is the actual native project, but every time that we run this command, this entire folder is auto-generated. This means that if I go and change something here in the Gradle, this will be deleted once I run prebuild again. So it's not recommended to update values inside the Android folder. Instead, what we do is just update the app.json and then prebuild so that we get the latest changes in the native folder. Okay, hope that makes sense. Now let's open the Android folder in Android Studio. Here I have Android Studio. We can press open and then select the Android folder. In my case, this is my application, Habits Fable. I'm going to select the Android folder and press open. And I'm going to trust the developer and open the folder. So this is going to open Android Studio. As you can see at the bottom right, the Gradle project is syncing. This usually takes a moment the first time that you open the project, and you can check the logs if you click on the build icon on the left. If you encounter any errors here, if this is the first time that you are doing it, just copy the errors, give that to Claude and ask Claude to help you, or Codex, whatever you're using. So after a moment, for me, it took 49 seconds. The build is successful. You will get something like this. So this means that our Android project is working correctly within Android Studio. Okay, so at this point, we're ready to sign our build. So if you go to the build option in the menu bar, you will find the option to generate a sign app bundle or APK. So click on that. So the difference between the app bundle and the APK is that an APK can be installed directly on any Android device, side-loaded, and it will work. An app bundle is a special build that is signed and it's optimized for release through the Play Store. And this is what we want. So let's press next. Since this is the first time that we are doing this, I'm going to create a new key store. So let's click on create new. Now this is something very important. This key is going to allow Android Studio to sign our build, our app, so that we can release it, right? So you need to be careful when you create this key store. You need to save it, don't expose it, don't share it. Every new release that you create for your application must prove that it came from you. And the way we prove that is by using this key store, okay? So select a place to save it. In my case, I'm just gonna save it in my documents. I have actually a folder called my key stores, and I'm gonna name it Kojon, which is the name of my application. Now, a key store is an encrypted file. It usually ends with .jks. Let's press save. Let's protect this with a password. It needs to be at least 8 characters. So you can think of this key store as a safe containing the actual private key. So the alias labels the key and the passwords unlock it. So the alias is gonna be just key for me. And then I need to provide the password. And then you need to specify at least one of these. So I'm just gonna pass the organization to be called with Beto, LLC, and then press OK. This is gonna be my key. Just make sure that everything looks correct and press next. Android Studio uses this private key to sign our bundle, okay? So make sure that we are pointing to the right project and then select the build variant. So right now, because we want to release this, it needs to be release. Select release here and press create. Okay, so this is gonna start creating the sign bundle. Okay, now let me explain what signing actually does, because this is the part that no one explains. Play App Signing is a Google service. Google protects the final signing key and uses it to sign the APKs people install. So with this service, 2 keys have separate jobs. First of all, we have our upload key, the one that we just created, which lives inside the local .jks file. It signs the Android app bundle like we just did, and then Google checks it to verify that the upload came from us. But then Google holds the security key. It's called app signing key. And when we upload this first bundle, Google generates that key for us. So creates optimized APKs and signs the APKs people received. We actually never download the private key. Play Console only gives us the public certificate and fingerprints needed by services like Google Sign-In. Keeping these keys separate makes losing or upload key recoverable. So if you lose your upload key, don't worry, you can still recover it. After a moment, we now have the artifact and we can locate it by pressing this button at the bottom right. So let's press it. This will open the Finder where we can find our app release.aab. It is signed with our local upload key, and we build it without paying for a cloud build. Completely free on your computer. This also works on Windows. I'm using Mac right now. Now, once your application is live, not every update needs another Play Store submission because, as you can see, it's just a pain. If your application is built with React Native and Expo and you need to ship a small fix like just a JavaScript change or a new asset fix, over-the-air updates let you deliver it directly to users without waiting for another store review. This video is sponsored by Codemagic, who recently released Patch, an open source, self-hosted, over-the-air update platform for React Native. Yes, you heard that right. Open source, you can run the complete evaluation stack locally with one Docker Compose command and then deploy it to your own virtual machine for production. This is massive because it gives you control over the infrastructure and it can help you avoid over-the-air update builds that can easily reach 5 or 6 figures a year at scale. So Patch includes native fingerprinting to protect against incompatible updates, binary diffs for smaller downloads, and a dashboard with installed timelines and user notes. It's built using Codemagic's experience serving billions of updates. Just remember, the over-the-air updates are for compatible JavaScript and asset changes. You can try Codemagic Patch using the link in the description. And thanks to Codemagic for sponsoring this part of the video. Alright, so I'm inside Google Play Console. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new app by pressing this button. Let's give it a name. We need to specify the package name. So just go to the project and copy this to make sure that we don't have any typos. Let's paste it in here. Now we actually need to check the availability because this is unique, like I said before. So let's check availability. This package is available. Select the language. This is gonna be an application. And for Android, I'm actually gonna put this for free. We confirm that our application meets the developer program policies, and then we also accept the US export laws and press create application. Now here's a quick note, by the way. Choosing between a free and a paid application, you need to think about carefully because a paid application can become free later, but a free listing cannot become paid without a new package and listing. So as you can see here, I actually need to apply for production access. We're gonna get into that later, but don't worry. So the first thing that I want to do is upload my first build. So for that, we can use internal testing. So we can actually install the Google's version of the application before going to production. So on the left, click on test and release, click on testing, select internal testing, click on create new release. And here's where we drop our file. So let's grab our app release.aab. This is already signed and drop it in here. Okay. So notice that I'm keeping these default enhancements. And we also need to provide a release name. I'm just gonna say hello world. All right, so after a moment, my app bundle is ready, so we can press next. All right, so we are about to create the internal testing. Just press save and publish, save and publish. Okay, so make sure to add testers to your application. So if you click on testers, I'm the only tester at the moment, so I'm just gonna press save. So now let's actually test the build. What I'm gonna do is just delete the current local build, and I'm just gonna copy this link. After pressing on the link, I now get this app not available screen. If you encounter this issue, go to the internal app sharing, and you actually need to agree to the terms here. So let's review the terms. This is the first time that I'm doing it, so I'm just gonna accept. Let's press get started. Okay, once that is done, I can actually see the tester. I'm going to select, and I'm gonna select this as well for convenience and press save changes. Okay, so now on my phone, I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna accept the invite and download the application. Okay, now at this point, I'm actually able to see the app. Let's press install. Everything else looks correct. It's just the package. It looks a bit weird because we cannot see the logo, but you know, it's internal testing, so it's okay. Perfect. And now I can open it and the application seems to be working fine. Animations look great. We have the NFC stuff. You can feel the haptics. So this is actually where you test your application and make sure that it actually works. So if I go to the dashboard, you're gonna see that I get this annoying warning, and then we have the finish setting up your app, which will actually take you to the steps that you need to take. So let's start with the privacy policy. You actually need to provide a privacy policy link even if you don't collect any data. So I'm gonna use the one from my website and press save. Okay, so if we go back to the dashboard and that one is done, we need to keep going. So if any part of your application is restricted, you need to provide credentials for them to test. So in my case, no. I'm gonna press no and save. Okay, let's move on to ads. I don't use ads. Content rating. So I need to provide an email address. I'm gonna select all other applications and I agree. So you need to answer these questions depending on your application, but for most simple apps like mine, you just have to say no to everything and save. So this is my content rating, target audience. To keep things simple, I'm just gonna say 16 and above. I think that should be fine for a habit tracker. Let's go to data safety. I don't collect any data, so I'm just gonna say no. Government applications. This is not a government application. Financial features. My app doesn't provide any financial features. Health. My app doesn't have any health features. Now we need to select an app category. So let's press edit. I'm going to select productivity. Now I'm going to select some tags. This is to describe basically the content and functionality of my application. So activity tracker, this is a good one. I'm going to select lifestyle, productivity, self-help, and that should be fine. Let's apply. Okay, back to dashboard. Let's provide some contact details. I'm just going to paste my website, and we actually need an email address. So let's add one, and now we can save and publish. Let's move on to the set up your store listing. So the app name is correct. So you need to provide a short description and a full description. I'm basically just gonna paste what I have in my listing from the App Store. Okay, we get to the fun part. We need to provide assets, which is the app icon. So for that, me and my team actually created a template for you. Go to codewithbeto.dev. I'm gonna leave the link in the description, of course. Make sure to check out my course and all the resources that we offer. We have an MCP, templates, everything. But most importantly, what we need right now is just to navigate to the Plátano template. It comes with the Figma template with assets to generate screenshots for iOS and Android. So open this in Figma. Once you do that, the template is going to look something like this. So I have here the actual screenshots that I created for the application on iOS, and we also have the Google Play page. So as you can see here, the template for the app icon is already here for me. What I'm going to do is just bring my default asset and drop it in here, and then you can just adjust this. Okay, so once you have your icon, you can just select it and export it at the bottom right. And then we can just come here, add assets. Let's upload it. It is in my downloads. Let's press add. Okay, there we have it. So I'm gonna press save drafts and close this for now. All right, now we need a feature graphic. Don't worry, if you go to the Figma, it's down here. So we can do something like this, and this is where we actually start taking some screenshots of the application. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just take some screenshots of the application. Of course, try to take screenshots of the main features of your app, like the most cool things that your application has. Now, if you do this with the running devices window inside Android Studio, so you can just press the take screenshot button. This is gonna take a nice screenshot that is gonna look something like this. Now, a cool thing about this is that you can select on the top right and select the Pixel 8 bezel. So this will actually show you the bezel like this. Then from here, you can copy to clipboard, go back to Figma, and let's start putting this around here. Or another thing that you can do is just grab one of these, press Option and drag it. This is a different bezel, but what you can do here is on the left, select the actual paste here screenshot. And what you can do is, instead of selecting Pixel 8, you can also copy to clipboard without the bezel, and then come here, press Command V, and this will give you the nice frame like that. Either way, both look great. Okay, I think this is okay for now. I'm going to grab the banner. You can also take a preview here, see the preview, make sure that it's going to look okay, and then export the banner and select the feature graphic. Let's upload it. Okay, let's press add. There we go. Let's save as draft so that we don't lose the progress. Now we get to the screenshots. So we need 2 to 8 photo screenshots. All right, so let's go back to the template. We actually already have a couple of screenshots, so let's just place this in here and try to highlight it. Okay, so after a moment, this is where it landed. I'm gonna select the 3 of them, and then let's go to export the 3 layers. Now we can go back to the Play Store. Let's add some assets here. The 3 screenshots, let's save. Let's close this. They're also asking for tablet assets. So if you have custom tablet assets, select them. In my case, I'm just going to select the ones that we already have here and press add. These are required, so we need to select this even if it's not compatible with tablet. Just select the same ones and skip the rest since this is optional and press next. And then we can review the assets here. Everything looks correct. And let's press save. Now, here's something very important. For personal developer accounts created after November 13, 2023, Google now requires a closed test with at least 12 testers opted in continuously for 14 days. After that, you apply for production access. So organization accounts or an older personal account are not subject to this specific 12 tester gate. Now you can start with friends, family, coworkers, classmates, existing users, or your community. So once the 14 days are completed, go back to the dashboard and apply for production access. It's next day and I have to give you a quick update. I originally created my Google Play account using a simple personal account, and unfortunately, production was blocked for me. I needed 12 testers for 14 days for each application. And to be honest, it was easier for me to transition to become an organization account since I already have a DUNS number and other requirements. It actually took me like 20 minutes versus trying to get 12 testers for 14 days for each application. Now I gotta say that Google Play, I think it's making a huge mistake because this is kind of like gatekeeping the Google Play from indie developers that just want to move fast. They want to test an idea, and the reality of what's happening is that publishing to Google Play, it's very hard, and developers prefer to just publish the iOS version and then kind of like forget about Android, and that means Android users are going to miss out on some good applications. Now if you have the opportunity, I would recommend that you create an organization account so that production is available by default for you. That said, don't create a fake organization account because they are actually going to ask you for information like the DUNS number, your identification, and you have to go through a process of verifying your identity. Now, if creating an organization account is not feasible for you, you can always go to Reddit. There are some subreddits for getting testers for your application. Now, this is how it looks. Production is now available and I can start creating a production release. So I have here a couple of tasks that I need to take care of. Let's start by selecting the countries and regions. So I'm just gonna add all the regions. Now I need to create a new release. This one's gonna be for production. Now, since production is ready, I can create an open testing release. And this is very simple. It's just a matter of selecting the app bundle that we already uploaded. Now for open testing, you still need to send this for review. So let's submit this for changes. Let's actually go ahead and create the actual public release that will be available in the Play Store. So it's gonna be the same, create new release. Let's select the current bundle that we already have here and save. And finally, let's send the release to Google for review. So we can come here, just validate that everything looks okay, the correct version, and submit the 3 changes. Now I already have a review in process. It's the open testing. So I'm gonna just restart the review with the actual production release. Okay, so now the changes are officially in review. If we go to the dashboard, you can see here that it says in review. Okay, now this is funny because the application was literally approved in about 15 minutes. And as you can see here, it's now live and we have this link to view on Google Play. This is how it looks. You can see the screenshots. It looks nice. If you want to learn more about how to maintain and keep your application up to date, creating new releases, I have videos for channel members. So if you want to support the channel, consider joining. You will also get access to exclusive content and more advanced in-depth tutorials. As always, check out my course, my book, and if you want to work with me one-on-one, my email is in the description. I read every single one. Thanks again to Codemagic for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you in the next one.